Welcome to the general meeting of koha-US for January. We have the...
Good morning, Madam President.
No, thank you. And we can welcome our new Vice President, Barbara. And then, of course, Jason is
Hello.
now... and Jason is secretary. This is his last year, I think. That's right. And we have John as our financial manager officially. He was elected in a recent voting. So if anybody knows of, yeah, we are absent a treasurer as such, but John will be filling that position, or he will be financial manager and doing some of the responsibilities of the treasurer since we don't have one. And let's see. I don't see.
Bob and Elaine are both here too. Our members at large.
Oh, there, Bob. I was looking all over for Bob. I couldn't find him. Okay, so Bob and Elaine are members at large. Elaine, you are not supported, and Bob is a supported member at large. So that is our new board for 2021. So welcome everyone, and yeah, looking forward to a great year. It'll be fun. Okay, so if we look at the agenda, I guess that was our announcement, or one of the announcements is just to introduce everybody on the new board. And does anyone else have any announcements that they want to share?
I do have one announcement.
Okay.
The user services SIG is scheduled for the third Monday of every month. That falls on Martin Luther King Jr. Day next week. So we've pushed it a week forward. So it's going to be on the 24th now, or 25th, sorry. Monday the 25th, same time, which I believe is 2 Central, noon Pacific, possibly. But you can double check the calendar and also get the link on the calendar if you're interested in attending. And the rest of our SIGs are still going strong. So just check out our calendar if you're interested in a certain topic you want to join in on those.
I would like to say that the consortia SIG is going to be scheduled on a different day, so we can avoid just Jason and I meeting on Mondays. So I have not picked a day yet. Maybe I'll get a chance to do that by the end of this meeting, and I can announce that. So I'll take a look at moving that to some non-conflicting date and time.
Okay. Great. All right.
I have an announcement.
Okay, great.
So this is Christopher, formerly at the Uintah County Library. I'm actually between jobs right now, but that's okay because on the 19th, I start at Jackson County Library Services up in Medford, Oregon. So I'm leaving this Friday to go up there, and it's a Koha library. They're switching to Koha from Polaris, and they're going to do Aspen as well. So it's really exciting. Yes, it's great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, my grandparents used to live in Ashland, and Medford was the airport.
Yep. Great.
Okay. Yeah, congratulations. And
thank you.
That's great. Yeah, just kind of not really we are Round Rock is looking at getting Aspen too, so we just got to get it through all the wheels of government to get it approved and all that, and we should have it too, so we're excited about that. Any other announcements?
Oh.
Okay.
Actually, I wonder if that's...
Okay, then just to officially announce the results of the 2 votes that we took kind of over the holidays. Both of the voting time periods ended on January 5th, I think, at end of day. The first one is the updates to the development process. So the development committee we were having trouble getting things through, enough stuff to work on kind of, and just the process just wasn't working great. So we sat down and kind of came up with a different process, which I'm sure most of you have read about. That was unanimously approved by the membership. And so Barbara will be the chair of the development committee and kind of working out the actual processes related to this new procedure. So that will be exciting. And so start thinking of bugs and developments that you'd like koha-US to support and work on. Bylaw updates, the financial manager position. First, that was the financial manager position creation was approved by the membership. And then a second vote was to fill that position, and John was unanimously elected as the financial manager. So welcome, John, to this new position with koha-US. So any questions about that? The voting or anything like that?
I did want to know, I did put links on the agenda to our website if anybody's interested in either of those things. The revised development process has been updated on the website, so you can read through it there. And also the bylaws have been updated on the website if you're interested in more information about the financial manager position.
Super. So you can explore that at your leisure. All right, 2021, major events that are coming up. So first will be in April, we're going to do the Koa-thon virtual event. So start thinking about presentations. That's not that far down the road. So George is going to kind of be coordinating and leading and working as chair for that Koha-thon.
Hello.
There's George. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, I was late.
Yeah, no problem.
I sent out a couple of emails to a couple of people and then I kind of forgot about it, but I haven't heard back from anybody. If anybody wants to be part of organizing Koha-thon, please send me an email at george@neckles.org. And I will rattle some more. I will send some more emails around. Bless you.
Yeah, pardon me. It's called cedar fever season down here in Texas. And the longer you stay, the worse you react to it. I'm here 23 years, so. Okay, yes, so start thinking about presentation. Anything else you want to say, George, about how we're thinking about doing it? Pretty much like last year, I would say.
A lot like last year. I think the complaints we had last year was that, for it was a little long. I can't get my camera to start. There we go. So I think maybe, the idea was to be 8 a.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Pacific time. That makes for it was like a 15 or 16 hour day. And that got to be a lot for some of the people that were on the back end of it. I was on almost all day, and Jason was on almost all day, and Lizette was on almost all day, and Todd was on almost all day. It was a lot for the people behind the scenes, so maybe something a little shorter. The date is still up in the air. We talked at the conference committee meeting about the same, during library week, but then we found out library week is like the first week of April, and that's kind of coming up a lot closer than we'd like it. So I'm thinking more like the end of April or the beginning of May would probably be better for the distance between now and then, time-wise. But the most important thing is if you want to do it, if we want to have it, people need to help. So let me know.
Okay.
And I'll type my email in the chat now while we move on to the next thing.
Okay. All right. Thanks, George. This next event would be the ALA booth in June, and I think John knows about that.
We're still going to be hosting a booth at ALA. We're actually technically not at a booth. We're at a small vendor's table, which was significantly cheaper than a booth because, quite honestly, given what our intention at the event is, we don't need any more than just a small table to hand out our little hex stickers and be able to show off Koha to anybody who happens to come along. ALA's general administration has been oddly silent about annual thus far. In most years, that would be because they're still focusing on midwinter, which is an all virtual event this year. Normally not too long after midwinter is when the hotel block opens and registration opens, and they've not announced anything with regard to that yet. At least not anything to the membership. I get, of course, stuff as a exhibitor because we rolled over our purchase of exhibitor space, and neither they nor the exhibition hall company has contacted us either. We're going to proceed under the assumption that ALA annuals will still be happening in person. Of course, it is back in Chicago. So with that information in mind, and assuming it will continue on until we hear otherwise, probably about March and April, I'll start to be soliciting people to sit at the table from time to time and take care of those type of coordination efforts. In the event ALA decides to cancel the in-person event, we will likely, and this is something we'll talk about as a board, but my inclination here is to roll over our exhibition space again. We did have the option last year of doing a virtual exhibit hall. Quite honestly, we do a virtual exhibiting year round through our website anyway, and they wanted to charge us money. So there was absolutely no incentive really for us to do the virtual exhibit hall in any way, shape, or form. Should they go virtual, that's going to be my recommendation to the board again this year, but we'll see. So stay tuned. As soon as I find out more, it will be shared with the board and then shared more generally through channels like this as we find out more. So stay tuned.
Okay, thanks, John. Yeah, so I guess we're just kind of waiting on ALA to see whether it's going to be virtual or in person. And then the last thing on the list is in September, we are hoping to do our in-person conference in McKinney, Texas, which is the location that we chose last year before we ended up going virtual. So we're going to stay with that same, with McKinney as a location. We're going to use the same theme that we selected and things like that. So we will start asking for presentations probably in, hang on one second, I got to shut the door here.
Does anybody know when that will be? Which week?
This is the week of the 20 something, the 21st maybe.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sorry about that. They were so quiet when we started, but you know, staff, they get rowdy. Anyway.
Rhonda, do you know the exact dates? We did get some dates nailed down there.
Yeah, it was, what was it, 20, oh shoot.
20 something was my answer.
Yeah.
Monday
Yeah,
Monday the 20th through Thursday, whatever the Thursday is, because the calendar closed when I clicked to unmute myself.
23rd.
Yes.
23rd. Okay, the 20th through the 23rd. McKinney had, you know, worked with a hotel to get a block of rooms, so they'll be doing that same thing. So probably in May, we'll start asking for ideas, presentation, people to volunteer to do presentations and things like that. So if you're interested in helping with the in-person conference, let me know. I'm chairing or whatever the conference committee for the in-person conference. And we do meet right after this meeting. Usually, each month as it gets closer, we might meet more frequently. So if you're interested in participating in that, you can join us at the conference committee meeting following this one. Does anybody have any questions about the in-person conference?
I hope it goes through.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping by September we can do stuff like this. So,
Yeah, I've been to several virtual conferences, MLA, Mid-Atlantic, MLA. I think the one in New Zealand was done the best, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, no, they're not the same. Okay, so we are seeking some volunteers for a couple of things. We have in case you're not aware, we have a demonstration instance of Koha that koha-US has. I don't remember where it's housed or whatever, but so we have this demonstration instance that we can use at ALA, at conferences, at for training videos and things like that. So you don't have to use nobody has to use their live public, real information to demonstrate things. But we do need the demonstration instance SIG needs help populating that instance with information and customizing it and things like that. So if you're interested in helping with the demonstration instance, especially if you think you've got some ideas about how you could use it, I don't remember who the chair of that is. Is that John? It was you. But...
Right now, it is still me.
Okay.
We are actively seeking volunteers for this. In an instance of this is why you don't raise your hands when you discover you're going to be the only one raising your hands at a meeting. I am in charge of the demonstration instance SIG, and even back when I was at a Koha library, I had very little time for this. Now I'm not at a Koha library, and I have even less time for it. So I'm actively seeking people to help administer the instance, generally oversee it, keep track of who is willing to do what in terms of getting things configured and set up. The people that I've spoken to do have a continued interest in working on the instance, but don't have the ability to take on the administration of it, if you will. When we got this instance last year, it was also for ALA, and then when ALA was turned all virtual, it basically put it on the back burner. Well, lots of things went on the back burner starting last March, and it's now time for us to go ahead and re-examine and re-explore this. I'm going to put out another call for the demonstration instance SIG. There were a few people that responded the first time. I think there is actually a mailing list, but I can't recall whether we officially set it up or whether we just took the names. If you do have an interest, contact me at treasurer@koha-us.org, and I will go ahead and make sure you're added to that SIG. What I'm expecting right now, at least in terms of how I think this would be great to work, those that have volunteered to contribute will identify their areas of focus. Some people are good at working in acquisitions and cataloging like me. Other people will hopefully have good experience working and designing with the Webpack. Some might have really good experience with circulation. I'm hoping to have one or two people at that level that can take care of doing some basic work. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. We'll probably have 1,000 records in there, maybe really not a whole lot of patrons, but maybe 1 or 2 branches with a few different locations in there so that we can show anybody that's interested, hey, here's how we do checkout. This is what the web pack looks like. Let's show you how we can have patrons place requests. It's certainly not going to be an all-encompassing endeavor, but I really am hoping to have a core set of functions, and the members of the demonstration instance SIG will help to come up with what that desired type of functionality will be. So again, please contact me if you do have an interest in this, and I'll make sure you get added to that special interest group. Oh, and Rhonda was not sure. The demonstration instance has been graciously provided to us by Bywater. They are the ones that are hosting the demonstration instance, and we happen to have some redirects so that it looks like it's us, when in fact it's being very graciously hosted and provided to us by Bywater.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John. So yeah, like John said, if you're interested in that demonstration instance, working on that, then contact him. The second opportunity to volunteer is to help with the organizational social media presence. So we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we may or may not have Instagram. I think we don't have Instagram. But just to have, we're looking for 1 or 2 or 3 people that would be willing to kind of work as our social media poster kind of person. So if you've got experience in this, or if you'd like to get experience in this, this is an opportunity for you. We discussed possibly looking into Hootsuite as you know, if you wanted to learn about that, that's another opportunity. We can get that fairly inexpensively to maybe free from TechSoup. So if you are interested in promoting Koha through social media, koha-US through social media, you can contact any of the board members, myself, Barbara, Jason, John, or Elaine or Bob. So if you want to support Koha-US in that way, we would be thrilled to have you join us. Any questions about that? Okay.
So if you want to reach, the best email address to send like that kind of stuff to is info@koha-us.org. I believe that goes to both Rhonda and Barbara. So that's a good general email to use. You can also contact all the officers at once if you email officers@koha-us.org if you have questions for the whole group.
Thanks, Jason. Good point. I'm still learning all these things here. All right, so let's move on to committee reports. First one on the list is conference committee. We sort of covered that. George, did he leave already?
No, I'm still here.
You're still here, okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we haven't met since I
Before
think
the
we're
holiday?
scheduled to meet after this meeting, right?
Right, yeah.
Which I might not be able to stay. That's another story, but
Okay. Yeah, and I pretty much shared everything I know earlier. So development, Barbara?
I don't have a report because the meeting fell on January 1st, and so we canceled it. So we'll start in February looking at the new development process and what needs to happen.
Great, thanks. Does anybody have any questions about the development committee? There's always positions available there too. If you want to help with that committee, contact Barbara. All right, education. Ms. Heather Hernandez is the new chair. Welcome.
Thank you. We're scheduled to have our first meeting of 2021 on January 20th, which is Inauguration Day. And I've been keeping an eye on the news for what the scheduling would be. And this morning I read that the pre-inauguration activities start at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So I'm thinking of canceling our January meeting because I think everybody would be pretty distracted. And just having our first meeting then in February.
Okay. All right. Okay. Finance, John.
The Finance Committee report is linked in the agenda. Our final membership count for 2020 was 83. Our membership count for the new calendar year as of the end of December is 24, but for those of you interested in real-time statistics, we're actually at 28 as of now. And I'd actually like to welcome, we have 3 completely brand new members to the organization, and all 3 of them happen to be here today. John, James, and Stephanie, welcome to koha-US. We're glad to see you here, and thank you for joining in your support of our organization.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, thanks, y'all.
Yeah. So, James, where are you coming to us from?
So I'm one of the assistant directors of Montgomery County Public Libraries in Maryland. We're a Cersei library right now, unfortunately.
I feel your pain.
You made a very good choice coming here.
Yeah, and so we
personally attest to that.
We awarded our RFP to Bywater for Koha, and we're going to go the Aspen Discovery route as well.
Okay.
And so we're still finalizing all that contract stuff this month, and then we'll be doing an exciting migration. So that we'd check out what you guys are up to and kind of get a sense of where we're headed.
Okay.
And my IT manager, I think, is here too, Scott Kegley.
Okay. Yes.
Ran off.
I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
The duck. No, I'm actually not a duck. Here I am. Yes. How you doing?
Great. Okay. Well, welcome, James and Scott.
I'm glad to see that my county tax dollars are being spent wisely. And I may regret this offer, but I run a very, very small system like Koa Instance at Washington Hospital Center. So if you want me to come talk to your staff about how it's the most wonderfulest, keenest, neatest, whatever, won't have much to say, but I'll say everything I know.
Awesome, thanks.
John, where are you coming to us from? Collection development librarian and cataloger at UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas. All right. We've been a Koha user since 2014. We switched from Cersei and have been very happy since then. So another Cersei. Yeah, we were Horizon before we did.
Louver Horizon too.
Yeah. All right. So Dallas area, that's great. Welcome. And let's see, Barbara and I are fellow Texans. I think that's all that we have here. But yeah, welcome. And then Stephanie, I think, was the other one.
Yeah, hi, Stephanie D'Angelico. We're in Pennsauken, New Jersey, which is South Jersey, very close to Philadelphia.
Okay.
We were an innovative library. We went with Koha. We started in January of last year, right before everything went to hell. So we're still getting our feet under us on everything that we want to do. We're a fairly small library, and I'm basically the only person working on it. So, and now I'm working from home due to chemo. So that's why I'm able to attend a lot of meetings right now too, which is great because I'm getting a lot of information from all of the SIGs. They've been very, very helpful in trying to get things set up the way we want them to work. So.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Is your library supported or unsupported?
support. You mean by Bywater? We're a
Okay.
Bywater library. Yeah. So that's been a big help, like I said, because I'm the sysadmin, I'm the cataloger, I'm the acquisitions person. So, you know, it's trying to go through each section one at a time and get them, you know, set up doing what we want them to do. So
Yeah, I'm all of those except acquisitions.
yeah. So, and reference, but
Okay, yeah, and I do encourage, you know, the new people. There's lots of SIGs out there, and I know they're all very willing to answer questions. And it's a great way to, you know, just kind of get your hands dirty and really, you know, figure out what different libraries are doing and how they're approaching things. So, you know, there's SIGs on customer, or was it user
services.
There we go. Acquisitions, consortiums, if you're part of a consortium. There's a whole list on the koha-US.org website that you can go there and check out all the different special interest groups. And if there's one missing, we invite you to start up a new one. There's always that opportunity too. So.
Jason put the link in the chat. Also, there's mailing lists and previous video recordings. So if you're interested in just going back and seeing some of the stuff that we've talked about recently, the SIGs are all fairly new. Acquisitions has been around the longest, 2 years ish.
2 years, yeah. We
And
started
everything
in
else
Portland.
and everything else is about a year or less, kind of depending on. We had them off the ground by April of last year, mostly. So that's all linked on that page. Jason linked as well.
Super. Oh, and I didn't introduce Lizette. Lizette is our, what was the phrase? Past president? Is that the right phrase? Okay, so she was president last year. So she's also a wealth of information as well. All right.
I'll continue on.
John,
with,
yeah, I was going to say, John, are you done? Okay.
Yeah. Financially, we're doing okay. The expenses you see in November that are now finalized were related to the conference mailing. If you take a look at the preliminary December numbers, you'll no doubt notice that we've spent more money in December than we spent in our previous 3 years, which is the entirety of our official fiscal organization combined. Fear not that 4,000 of that 4,126 is actually the payment to Bywater in support of the member chosen development for last year. They sent us the invoice, we sent them the check, so that money is now accounted for and has cleared from our coffers. A few other things to note on behalf of the Finance Committee. Membership for 2021 is now, of course, open for both renewals and new members. Renewals went out on December 10th to the email address on record. And we're trying something new this year to minimize any delay in time for payment. We're now automatically sending out invoices to people that join. And if you happen to have paid, like many do through PayPal, your invoice is actually marked paid in full upon receipt. And it's in big and red. So to date, this has not caused any confusion. Hopefully it will continue to not cause any confusion. Receipts will be sent out as well. I'm waiting on Rhonda to put together the text that she'd like for the receipt. And when I've got that, I will go ahead and send out receipts to all that have paid. The final expenses for our virtual conference were $254.16. That included a prorated cost for the general hex stickers that went out, all of the expense for the conference specific stickers, as well as expenses for mailing. Because we did not take in any income at the conference, all of these expenses were actually just categorized as marketing. I've already talked about ALA, so don't have to talk about that anymore. Next month will be the big annual report. I've gone ahead and balanced our books for what we call membership year 2020. Preliminary information about that has been sent to the board. I now take all of that information and put it into a prettier report for everybody that will be shared first with the board at its meeting in February, and then as part of the general meeting. As always, the Finance Committee is interested in welcoming anybody that would like to serve on the Finance Committee. Eli has been a member of the Finance Committee, second longest outside of me. Candace Hope is not with us today. She's the other member. I thank them for their continued service to the Finance Committee, but I'm always interested in welcoming anybody else. The last thing to note is I talked about the conference mailing. It took a while because when you're doing it all yourself, then you're organizing envelopes and individually labeled letters, but it's sent. It's all gone. Oh, you can't see my hand movements because my camera's off, but everything was sent out. If you were registered for the virtual conference and you submitted an address, and in like 5 instances, even if you didn't, I sent you a nice little letter thanking you for your attendance, and it included a sticker, 2 stickers actually, a conference one and a general one. And I'm glad to report that all of that mailing is out. That's pretty much it for the Finance Committee for the month of January. Does anybody have any questions? No questions. That's it for the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John. The last committee is fundraising. Todd is not here. Did anybody want to step in on that one?
So fundraising is probably our our biggest weakness as far as committees go. We do have a regularly scheduled meeting. I believe it's the 4th Wednesday of the month at this same time slot. Todd's been really busy lately, so he hasn't been to the meetings. Nobody came to the one in December, of course, because it was like smack dab in the middle of the holidays. But it would be good to get some more activity going there, and maybe get some things planned in coordination with the conference committee and the education committee. So if people are interested in that, definitely reach out. Primarily the goal for fundraising, of course, is to bring in money so that we can help fund developments, but it also helps with some of our other initiatives as well.
Thank you, Jason. Okay. So those are all the committee reports. Is there anything anybody wants to comment about? You've had a minute to think about stuff.
I thought about jumping in when we were on the education committee for a minute, but it was going so well I didn't want to interrupt. Christopher Brannon and I have been recording those videos every other Thursday. People seem to like those. I'm running out of ideas, and I don't know where Christopher is, but if anybody has any suggestions of what you would like us to talk about in a video, or if anybody wants to be in one, please let Christopher and I know. And again, you can just let me know. And there's my email address in the chat again, if you haven't seen it yet. And if for all the new people, if you haven't seen those videos, it's been a lot of fun making them, and there's a lot of information in there. We've talked, the Monday minutes that Bywater does are pretty short. Some of the videos we've done, I think one of them was like over a half hour long, going into a lot of detail about how to do something. I don't even remember what it was, but we spent a long time going through the steps of how to get there. And right now, I can let everybody in on a secret. The last 5 of them, I think, have all been about reports, and it's kind of leading up to one big report that uses all of those techniques. So it's the kind of report that uses 7 or 8 different fancy weird SQL things. So look forward to that, like in a week or 2. But if anybody has any ideas of what you want to see, or something weird that you do that's hard to explain to people, come to us and we can help you, be in a video explaining it. So
Where do those videos live? Like the ones that exist? Okay, thanks.
Oh, there we go. YouTube, yeah.
Yes, very helpful.
The second link is a playlist of the videos that George is specifically talking about, those terrific Thursday videos.
I think we managed to hit every other Thursday. I think we might have been off 1 month. I think we might have gotten out of sync a little bit, but we've been plugging away.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, George. That's great. All right. So we have covered everything specifically outlined in the agenda. Now we're up to the open discussion of bugs and issues and all that good stuff. Does anybody have a particular bug they want to talk about, or something, you know, they want to ask the group about as far as processes or whatever? This is
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's Scott from MCPL. So what kind of nightmare am I going to be facing with this version when we do this migration from Cersei to Koha?
I would say that, you know, too much configurability.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a positive problem.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make, and you don't always know how they're going to interact when you make all the choices that you think you want to make. Sometimes then those different system preferences will interact how you think they're going to. Especially we're part of a consortium, so we have a lot of library groups. And so things, you know, that have to do with multi-branch libraries don't always behave quite how you think they're going to when you set some of the system preferences.
Yes, I once said Koa is literally infinitely configurable. And I used to be an editor.
Yeah, when we switched from Symfony to Koha, we had a lot of trouble with the legacy fines. So keep an eye on those. Those have caused a lot of problems.
And I think the migrating person will tell you too, but the holds are also something that's really hard to migrate. You might have, you know, a couple of weeks of.
Anyone that has been with Cersei knows holds is a problem no matter what way you slice it. So I anticipated that one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I remember a friend of mine worked on the Montgomery County Library system in the early 80s when something really horrible had gone on, and you ended up dropping your entire fine file. So it's about $100,000 you lost. But do you have a sort of scratch monkey to practice on?
We haven't. We're just getting into the beginning of this. We're not there yet.
Yeah, they're supposed to give us that though. Like they're supposed to take a copy of our database and stick it in like a practice instance so we can kick the tires and break stuff.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm sure something's gonna. Every migration ever is like a nightmare, basically. Everyone I've ever talked to. So we're ready for that, I guess. But I think it should be good.
I've been through one really big migration where the whole consortium moved from Voyager to Koha. And then I'm in a different job now where since I've been here in the last 5 years, we've added 2 additional libraries to the consortium that I'm in now. And the way generally the Bywater will do it is they're going to get your data and they're going to put it all into Koha. And you might do that more than once. When I used to have the job where Lizette is now. And for that initial migration we did, you know, we were in a situation where the people at our existing ILS said that nobody from Bywater could touch their system because it would violate their contract and they would sue us. So essentially I had somebody from Bywater standing behind me saying, okay, run this report and then put the data in a Dropbox and then I'm gonna mess with it. And then I want you to go to the test system and tell me what you think. And we did that. We rehearsed the migration probably 4 or 5 times. And we made sure that we had it right. And that way, when it actually came time to do it live, we were on Voyager on Saturday night and we were on Koha by Monday morning. And the only reason it wasn't Sunday afternoon is because we didn't have any libraries that were open on Sunday. So
Awesome.
they do a lot of work to make sure that that it's going to be as smooth as possible for you.
Very good.
Yeah, one selling point I used, I migrated my very small, maybe 14,000 item library because we were paying something like $10,000 a year for Dynex, and it really, that's what, $100 per item circulated. But anyway, one of the great selling points is I went to my managers and said, okay, this is a fully functional system that I set up. We could migrate right now, and it's running on a desktop computer. So it's the only migration I've been through. This is a very small library, but I could not have even considered doing that on another system.
I've done a few migrations myself already. As you can see, I've been around a while. Me
too.
Yeah, exactly. But because I helped them migrate from Carl to Cersei back in '98 or something like that.
I remember Carl.
Yes. Now, my best migration story though is actually one, the smoothest, goes way back. Do you remember GIAC? Or CLSI, actually. It was CLSI first.
Oh, God, GIAC. No.
Yes, and I back in the early, when was that? I don't even remember now, but we actually migrated from Regiscope. Do you remember those? We migrated from Regiscopes to CLSI, which then later became GIAC. But yeah, those were those things where you actually put the books underneath them and it took a picture. So we really.
Oh. Okay, yes, I remember that now.
So yeah, I've had a few of them, but yeah, it's fun.
So what are you guys' time frame for migration?
Not sure yet.
Yeah, we honestly don't really know. And so we're finalizing the contract with Bywater this month. It has to be done by like the 31st or something like that. And then we have to have all those meetings about like, what are we doing and what's our timeline. But we've paid Cersei through Halloween. So we got like, whatever that is, 9.5 months all in. I can't imagine any more time than that.
9 months sounds about a good time period. Yeah. We did it in 6, and that was that wasn't not enough time. So
okay.
Wait a minute, wasn't Halloween the timeline for Brexit too?
Well, we could always push it back.
True.
It's good that you have that
steady,
time.
So I would have said 12 months, but yeah, 9 months seems good.
As a recent changeover, our biggest problem was that due to a combination of factors, but after our training, we only had 3 weeks to go over everything before we went live. And so everything that you can do because we missed a bunch of things in preferences just because it was just me and there wasn't enough time to go through every one of them. So there was a lot of catching up after the fact, but with that kind of timeline, that's the big thing, is just to go through all of them, like every single one of them, and look at them and see how it relates to your current database, because there is so much customization. But if you've got the time to look at it, and Bywater was great with us after the fact, saying, oh yeah, let's run a report, we can fix this after the fact. But if you can do it before the fact, it's much better.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like worst case scenario, we could extend Cersei, but I don't really want to give them more money, So hopefully 9 months is good.
Yeah.
I remember a time when the county was just stamping due dates on the books and say, here, take them. Please bring them back.
And we did it.
You probably remember those days.
Christopher, go ahead.
Dynex, make sure that you clean up your data before the migration. If you have any authority work or anything like that, do that all. Weed out the bad records, the ghost records and stuff like that. The other thing is Cersei Dynex typically, when an item is checked out, it's checked out to a location. and it's different in Koha. So those locations sort of equate to an item type. And I know item type gives you different attributes in Search Dynamics as well. But in Koha, the item types determine, item types and patron category determine how long something is checked out, that type of thing. Also, reports are not for doing things in Koha. Reports are for information. Tools are for doing things in Koha. And so remember that you'll go in and say, where's the report to change all these? And people would be like, huh? You know, but it's because tools are what you use in Koha. There are batch, modification utilities that you can, modify 1,000 records, like that or whatever, but they're in the tools menu. But you also don't have to have an API license to get into the SQL. You can do whatever you want to on the reports. So there's actually a report library, which is nice. That's where others in the true open source fashion have contributed what the work that they've done on SQL to a library, not a library like we're talking about, but it's on a wiki is what it is. And you can copy and paste those reports in and tweak them how you need. So, but I'm going to put my email in the chat so that you can talk to me afterwards. I can guide you through it because I've been through a migration from Search Dynamics too.
Awesome.
Also, I'm wondering if anybody here has done a Polaris to Koha migration.
I added a library. The last library I added to our system came from Polaris to Koha.
Okay.
And it was difficult.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was Polaris getting the data out of the back end was complex. But once I got the data out and gave it to 80 at Bywater, did that migration, she was able to, once I managed to get the data out Bywater, knew exactly what to do.
What was difficult about it? Just finding the right report or access? Or
the interface for getting the data out of Polaris, the Polaris reports module was the problem.
Okay.
It was not. I'll also add that this was this is a community college with a limited budget. The Polaris manual they gave me when I said, okay, what can you tell me about the system? They were like 4 versions behind on Polaris. They were.
That doesn't help.
No, it didn't help at all. They had a printed manual for, they had printed documentation for using Polaris. They had all of the screenshots and the documentation they had were like Windows 98 screens. It was like a 2002 version of Polaris. So that had a lot to do with it probably. But the back end of the database was really, it was hard to get the data because it was kind of like Voyager where you've got patron data here, but not the phone numbers. The phone numbers are in a link table over here, and addresses are in a link table over here. So you got like patron names and here, and patron contact information in another table, and patron phone number in another table. And it was just, and it seems like there were some other things, or email information in another table. None of the patron data was all in the same table. It was all in links.
There was not a lot of continuity. It's just kind of hodgepodge together.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. And Voyager was the same way when I had to do this with Voyager. It was, they really went to town on the whole idea of a relational database. In Voyager, they don't even have the library card numbers in the same table as the patron names. They have a patron ID, and then that flows through all these other tables where the patron data is stored. So you've got to link all these tables to get the data you want. And the reporting module was some weird IBM product that was hard to write good SQL and stuff.
Thank you.
But like I said, it was like a 2003, 2004 version of Polaris. we spent an hour trying to figure out the password to get into the reporting module, because this is a library where somebody had left on bad terms with that community college, and all they had were like passwords written down on cocktail napkins. And in the manual there was a thing that said reporting module username, and it had a username next to it, and then underneath that it said password. And we tried for like an hour, using they were using the same password on like 6 different things, and another password on like 5 other things, and another password on like 3 other things. So we're trying all these different passwords. We're trying all these variations. We're trying all this different stuff. And then eventually I just said, could it be this stupid? And I just typed in password as the password. And that was the freaking password. So the whole thing was just, it was a combination of old version, bad carryover, and a bad practice on the part of that particular community college of not upgrading in 14, 15 years. So. But I'm going to blame Polaris too. It just
Yeah, that's kind of my fear, is about getting the data out, because we are a SaaS customer right now with them, with Cersei, but I have API training, and I have the back end access to their SaaS server, so I can go in and do all that stuff. But my fear is that when they figure this, when they remember that he does have back-end access to this server, I'm afraid they're gonna cut me off or something. I don't know, because they don't usually give people back-end access to their SaaS servers.
Typically, you
negotiated it with them.
Typically, you have to pay Cersei Dynex to get the data out, which kind of stinks.
I should be able to get it myself, as long as they don't cut me off. Because I have access.
However, I'm going to put you in contact with, actually, you want to contact Valerie Burdett at Bywater Solutions. You're a Bywater Koha instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Contact her, because she had some reports. She used to work for Westminster College in Salt Lake City, and she had some reports to get it out without paying Cersei Dynex. But I don't know if she was hosted or not, but she would know better. Plus, she's also on the data team at Bywater, so she's very good. Valerie Burnett, sorry.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Well, it looks like we are coming up on our hour. It's great to see everyone. If you have additional questions, of course, you can always email the, what do we call this? The group. There is a Slack channel as well, that you can contact people instantly. It's a great way to get a hold of people. And yeah, if you've got any questions, contact info@koha-US.org, and if we don't know the answers, we can at least point you in the right direction.
I have a really quick question. What is meant by breaking the Linux barrier that was on the agenda? Not to launch a whole other conversation, because I know you were wrapping. I was just curious if there's some sort of history to that people could forward me, or just what we're talking about.
Well, I can speak to that.
Lizette was the president last year. I was the president the year before that. And Christopher Brannon of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho was the president the year before that. And he added it to the agenda. Just, one of the things that we're all lacking knowledge in generally, most of us don't know a lot about Linux. And he wanted it to be on the agenda that we should, try to find a way to make Linux easier, or get some resources out there for everybody in this group, to help us understand Linux better. And it's been on the agenda ever since, and I don't know that it's just one of those things from now 1, 2, 3 presidents ago. So
supported sites as a general rule don't have to worry about this nearly as much as unsupported sites. Elaine Fred, and back when I ran a Koha system, I run unsupported sites. And so that knowledge of Linux became critically important for us. And I fumbled my way through enough with a collection that doesn't circulate to put together a catalog and an acquisitions instance, as well as some limited authority control. But that breaking the Linux barrier was just, like George said, a general topic to try to address the fact that it's a pretty big shortcoming, and it's one that's been bred into the profession by proprietary systems, because you never had to worry about any of this stuff when you were turnkey. Open source, you've got the ability to worry about it. And if you're running unsupported, you really need to worry about it.
One of my interests is Koa for libraries who can't afford a support vendor. Really small, well, in my case, medical libraries, and I've been trying to figure out ways to make Linux easier. If you have 30 seconds, I can tell you, during the Koa installation, there are times when you have to type out these really long commands, like adding the repository. And if you get one teeny little thing out of place, nothing works. So I developed a way to download scripts and then run them that will type those in for you. So it makes it a little easier. And any day now, I'm going to do a full-length video of Koa installation. Yeah, Jason's laughing because I've been promising this for how many months? But
It's okay. I've been promising a SQL reference guide for many months as well. Just to dial this back a little bit, don't fret about Linux at all, because if you are Bylaw supported, you never have to touch the command line unless that's something you want to do. So
I like the command line.
Curious. Yeah. Like I have
I'm
a
an old
person.
EI guy.
Yeah.
yeah, you guys don't have to, unless Scott, you want to do your own. Do your own library catalog of your home collection, which I'm doing from Microsoft Access, I think.
Okay.
And Z3950, but that's another presentation.
All right.
Yeah, go to the
Okay.
Avenging
Yes.
Chicken site and it'll be there.
And it looks like there's a link in here called explainshell.com that helps you understand Linux commands and scripts. That I think is actually Christopher that put that in there.
Yep.
So, okay, we are over our time. For anybody that's interested in the conference committee, stay here. And anybody that has things that they need to do, you can move on. So we will be starting up the conference committee meeting in just a few minutes. So thanks everybody for coming. And it's great to meet all the new people. That's fantastic. Glad you're joining us. And
Yeah, it's great meeting all of you. Thank you.
yeah. Okay.
We're more
See ya.
fun than you might think.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, folks, and take care.
Take care, y'all.
Bye.